Fourth, it's an irresistible birth. I mean, no human resistance can thwart or hinder the powerful movement of the Holy Spirit of God in His work of regeneration in the day of His power. Listen to John 3, verse 8, as Jesus has this to say to Nicodemus. The wind blows where it wishes. The wind has a mind of its own. No one can start the blowing of the wind. No one can steer the blowing of the wind. No one can stop the blowing of the wind. The wind is so powerful that it, in many cases, just pancakes a landscape and just wipes out an entire village or part of a town when a tornado hits, when a hurricane hits. I used to live in Mobile, Alabama, which is on the coast of the Gulf of Mexico. You can't be any further south and still be on land than to be in Mobile, Alabama. It's not the end of the world, but you can see it from there. And we were right in what they call Hurricane Alley. And there's actually what is called hurricane season, when the Atlantic Ocean becomes so hot with the water, and then the Gulf of Mexico becomes so hot that it creates conditions for hurricanes. And when you hear a hurricane is coming, you get in your car and you head not just out of town, you get out of state. You may go a couple states away because it is so powerful. And when you come back and look at your neighborhood, and trees that have been there for 200 years now look like toothpicks, that's how powerful the wind is. And Jesus draws upon this analogy to communicate what it is to be born of God, that the movement of the Holy Spirit in the heart of the one who is to be regenerated, there can be no resistance greater than God's power to conquer the proud heart. And I'll set before you Exhibit A. Saul of Tarsus on the road to Damascus with papers in hand to come arrest the Christians and to drag them back to Jerusalem, and no doubt to have them stoned to death just like they had stoned Stephen to death. And Saul had stood there and observed that and watched that. He was hell-bent on destroying the church and putting to death every Christian who was on the way. And as he is on the road to Damascus, in a moment, in an instant, the power of God was unleashed upon Saul of Tarsus. And public enemy number one of the church became the greatest apostle who ever lived. It became the author of 13 New Testament books. He went from being a blasphemer to a believer, and it was the power of the new birth that dramatically changed and transformed his life. It is an irresistible birth.